Ash from Super Videos, back for another video for The Last of Us. In this video, we're going to talk about some exciting news that have recently been announced for The Last of Us. And I'm not talking about The Last of Us Part 2 video game. I'm actually talking about The Last of Us TV series. So they recently announced that they will be making The Last of Us into a TV series on HBO. So that's extremely exciting, and I am very intrigued. I think that type of story deserved like a TV show or a movie. I think TV shows are better because it does the story justice, and I absolutely love that it's on HBO. They're doing it right. They're not just making a TV show for the sake of making a TV show, and the people involved actually do look promising. Now, before we jump into a little bit of an article that I'm going to read, one thing I do want to mention is that there's been a lot of talk about who's going to play Ellie, who's going to play Joel, but one thing I do want to mention is there's two ways they can actually go with this. They could either bring Last of Us Part 1 into a TV show, like they could have that be the story, or they could have another story that takes place in the world of The Last of Us. There's a possibility that they will do both of those things at some point. They start with just doing the main story from Last of Us, but I do think that there's a lot of possibilities for them to have other spin-offs for other stories within the Last of Us universe. So I think that's extremely exciting, and I'm definitely interested to see what they're gonna do and where they can take this. Obviously, this is something that we are going to cover on this channel. When the show is out, I will cover it. I will do reactions. I will break down the trailers, everything. Like everything you see for Walking Dead, I probably will do for Last of Us as well. And also, obviously, in May, Last of Us 2 is out. So we're going to do the gameplay for that on this channel. So that'll be coming as well. And I think that this is a great thing to expand this channel, because if you don't know already, or if you're new here, this channel has been really focused on The Walking Dead, but I am trying to move away from that a little bit by the end of this year. So I think this is a great way to do that. Now, in terms of who should play Ellie, who should play Joel, I think that that's a really tough question. There's tons of people that could play them. Now, there are some actors and actresses that have the look. For example, Ellen Page as Ellie, that would be something that might work, because Ellen Page looks like Ellie. You can have Hugh Jackman as Joel. Go back and watch Logan. You'll see that he pretty much looks like Joel. Now, there are a few issues with that. One, Hugh Jackman is a little older than Joel in Last of Us. Now, they could go Hollywood with it and make him look younger, but that could be a problem that could come up. Ellen Page is a little older than Ellie in Last of Us, so that's another thing. Of course, again, they could do their magic and make Ellen Page look younger, but like I said, it's a tough call because there's people that fit the look, but there are also people that may fit the character even though they may not look like them. So with that said, let's read a little bit of this article here and see what we can get from that. And I'll leave a link to where this article is coming from in the description so you guys can go and check it out as well. Award-winning video game writer Neil Druckmann and Emmy-winning Chernobyl writer and creator Craig Mazin will adapt video game The Last of Us for an HBO series. So of course, Neil Druckmann is the one that wrote Last of Us, so he's like the Robert Kirkman of The Last of Us for Walking Dead fans. So it's great to have him on board. I don't know much about Craig Mazin, and I haven't watched Chernobyl, the TV show, so I don't know what he could bring to the table, and I don't know what to expect from him. From what I've heard so far, he is a great choice, and I cannot wait to see what they can do together. And then there's a little bit of a quote from Druckmann's interview. He says, "From the first time I sat down to talk with Craig, I was equally blown away by his approach to narrative and his love and deep understanding of The Last of Us," said Druckmann, creative director of Naughty Dog, the game development studio behind The Last of Us, an Uncharted game series, and a wholly owned subsidiary of Sony Interactive Entertainment. With Chernobyl, Craig and HBO created a tense, harrowing, emotional masterpiece. I couldn't think of better partners to bring the story of The Last of Us to life as a television show. I'm beyond excited to collaborate with them, Druckmann said in a statement. Originally planned as a film from Sony and Screen Gems, that effort was abandoned as even Druckmann expressed his own disenchantment with the project. And I think that was a good choice. Like, going the TV show route versus the movie route. Because if you think about it, For example, Walking Dead. If they did that as a movie, it would have probably not been as much of a masterpiece as it is now, or as much of an iconic thing as it is now. And I think one of the reasons for that is because when it's a TV show, you have a lot of room to let every part of the story breathe. So I think that's one of the many reasons why this concept also works for The Last of Us, where you do a TV show to give the story the time that it needs, to let the scenes breathe, to do the story justice, rather than going the movie route where maybe it's like 2 hours of movie, but you lose some of the story, you lose some of the characters in there, you know what I mean? So I think that it was a great choice to go the TV show route versus the movie route. Now, does that mean that we'll never see a Last of Us movie? No, because like Walking Dead, they could do The Last of Us as a TV show. They could have spin-offs that are in that universe. They could have movies that spin off from the TV show. So there's lots of things they could do. But I think as the first step, having it be a TV show gives them a lot of breathing room and it makes it better for the long term. Going back to the article, HBO provided the series description in a statement. This story takes place 20 years after modern civilization has been destroyed. Joel, a hardened survivor, is hired to smuggle Ellie, a 14-year-old girl, out of an oppressive quarantine zone. What starts as a small job soon becomes a brutal, heartbreaking journey, as they both must traverse across the US and depend on each other for survival. The HBO series will cover the events of the original game, which was written by Druckmann, with the possibility of additional content based on the forthcoming game sequel, The Last of Us Part 2, which will be released on May 29th, 2020. So they are gonna have the story from Last of Us Part 1, but they might add things in there from Last of Us Part 2. So that's extremely interesting and exciting. They could even do it as spin-offs, like Last of Us 1, and then they could spin off to Last of Us 2. Or they could have, like, let's say 3 seasons of Last of Us, and then seasons after that will be for Last of Us Part 2. Like, that could be something that they're doing as well. But with that said, like I said earlier, that doesn't mean that they are not going to bring in original content, not from any Last of Us at all. Walking Dead does that as well, because they bring in original stories into the TV show. So they could definitely do the exact same thing for The Last of Us. But I'm going to read that last paragraph and we're going to end this video here. I don't want to make this video super long. Druckmann and Mason will write and executive produce. Carolyn Strauss, Emmy winner for HBO's Game of Thrones and Chernobyl, also executive produces along with Naughty Dog president Evan Wells. The project is a co-production with Sony Picture Television and in association with PlayStation Productions. The Last of Us is the first television series from PlayStation Productions, and I think they chose just the right game to do this with. And again, very intrigued, very excited, can't wait, and I will definitely cover it on the channel, and we will most likely have the same content for Last of Us on this channel as we do for The Walking Dead's original show. But with that, I want to know everyone's thoughts and opinions about this announcement. And I want to know your thoughts and opinions about where you think the story is going in the television series and what you think they're doing different for the TV series that they might not have done for the game. But that's pretty much everything that I wanted to cover. Let me know your thoughts and opinions in the comment section below. See you next time for another super video. If you like what you see, press like, subscribe for more content, and press the bell button to receive notifications for daily uploads.